Let's analyze this. So, Whatculture Wrestling recently did a video. I think Simon Miller is going to take this one once again because this is part of the Y series after all. But they recently did a video and they're going to explain why Kurt Angle won't be facing newly crowned opponent for WrestleMania for his last match, for his retirement match, Baron Corbin. I know that so far a lot of people are not particularly excited about the match, about the opponent, and that is just explaining the situation very lightly compared to what it is. I went up and down my Twitter timeline. Oof, it's brutal. It is brutal. Me, I am disappointed. It's very underwhelming, very disappointing opponent that they chose for Kurt Angle. And it was not what I expected. I'm not gonna be on the bandwagon and say that I wanted Cena like everybody else did, because I didn't. I don't really know who I wanted, but I definitely expected someone who at one point was as elite, if not is elite, like Kurt Angle. And that's not what we got. Instead, we got Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin, as of right now, as of this recording, is the set match and opponent for Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 35. Baron Corbin, let me explain Baron Corbin, okay? He is a very average to below average wrestler, and he is a very average to below average big man. He's not even a great big man. I will admit, his NXT run, I liked it. I enjoyed it. I didn't really necessarily enjoy the storyline behind his NXT run of how the fans hated him because he wasn't an indie guy. I mean, there are a lot of guys who aren't indie guys that people like. That's not a convincing way to describe why the fans don't like you, but that never really made much sense to me. But anyway, I'd still like that dominant run that he was on. He was a taller version of Goldberg, basically, where he would come in, beat people in 2 minutes or less, and then leave. And I thought that when he got called up to the main roster, I thought that they were going to just keep doing that with him. But instead, he started having competitive matches. Now, Baron Corbin is the type of wrestler where when he starts to have competitive matches, back and forth matches that extend for a long period of time, you start to see his weaknesses. You really start to see his weaknesses. Similar to Goldberg in his early days in WCW. The longer the match goes, the more you see his weaknesses, the more you see he kind of slows down. There are times where he gets a little winded. But I'm not going to sit here and say that Baron Corbin is the absolute worst wrestler of all time, because that's not even the case. That's not the case. That is being unfair to the man. The man, at the end of the day, he still has a lot of potential to be a huge heel. I'm not going to say a huge star, but a huge heel in terms of the company overall. Now, my big problem with him is that he doesn't have a high wrestling IQ. And he also gets easily triggered by the fans. And that's something that he has to get out of. And I like to believe that that's the reason why his push kind of went down. Is that the company, they saw how easily offended and how easily annoyed he gets by his critics. And I think that's why they took the US title off of him as soon as they did when he was the champion back in late 2017. But they're going to talk about why Baron Corbin won't be facing Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 35 like many believe that he will. So let's see what they have to say.
Kurt Angle will have his last ever match against Baron Corbin. Let that just sink into your brain for 1 second. Kurt Angle, the Olympic gold medalist, a multi-time world champion, a king of the ring winner, a wrestler who many people say picked up the sport faster than anybody in history will.
He did. He did. He did. There's no other way of saying it. He absolutely did. He picked up the sport faster than anybody could have possibly imagined. And he made it look easy as hell. He made it look easy as hell. Now, before Simon continues, I would just like to say real quick, Baron Corbin is not a bad matchup. I know many of you might get upset with me, and I quite frankly just don't give a damn. When I watch Baron Corbin, I don't just look at, oh, I don't like this guy, so I'm not gonna say anything nice about him at all. I'm not one of those people. I'm a three-dimensional thinker. I see things from proper perspective. I like to be able to look at everything more than once. So it's not a bad matchup. It's just that Baron Corbin is not what comes to your mind when you're thinking of a last match. A lot of wrestlers, when they're set to have their last match, they want it to be against high level caliber of wrestler, of athlete. And Baron Corbin just isn't that. He isn't. Never has been, never will be. But Baron is good in spurts. He's good at times. Like I said, in his NXT run, I thought that was one of the most well-booked runs of any wrestler that I saw in a long time. I thought that was the best undefeated, dominant run until they signed Asuka to NXT. And for some reason, they didn't continue that on the main roster. But let's let him finish.
End his career by taking on the Constable. Or at least that's what you're meant to believe if you watch this week's episode of Monday Night Raw. There was no hoopla, there was no build, there was no climax. Angle just walked to the ring, he got a microphone and said, hey look, I've talked to the McMahons, they're lovely people, they let me choose, and I choose Baron Corbin, even though Baron Corbin spent this episode of Raw losing matches to Apollo Crews. But if you take that as well...
Yeah, that didn't help his case, which you could argue is the reason why most likely Simon doesn't believe that it'll be Baron Corbin in the end.
There's some other happenings that we've just seen. I don't think that Kurt Angle is actually going to be taking on Baron Corbin at WrestleMania 35. Why? National Hood Week is back. Here's why. Now, obviously, this is me following my gut instincts and putting it all on the line. And I'm well aware, if I'm wrong, I'm going to get absolutely lambasted for it. I can already see the tweet. Isn't that what life is all about? You're meant to take risks. You're meant to put yourself out there and see what happens. Dare to fail is the phrase. And it's a phrase that I love so much. If I wanted a tattoo, I would have it tattooed across my ass. No, I wouldn't. I'd just have it on my arm. But back on topic, given how all of this was so meh on Raw, I totally believe that we are going to get a swerve down the line. Swerve me up good and proper. Point one, the Apollo Crews match, which we've already mentioned. I like Apollo Crews. I think he's all right, but he has been harmed by bad booking.
Apollo Crews, I think his biggest weakness is that he's not charismatic. A lot of people say that he can't talk, which I believe is bullshit. He can talk. It's just that he doesn't have that extra thing about him. He doesn't have that extra charm. He doesn't have that extra it factor, if you will. He can talk. He can talk. When he talks, he comes off as just a normal guy, which I think is the best quality that a wrestler should have, especially in this day and age. So he comes off real normal, real down to earth. It's just that he doesn't have that extra spark. When he talks, it doesn't catch your attention. Like, he's the type of person where you could walk past him and he could be talking and he could be hey, and you could still continue to walk away. Now, when we're talking about someone that's just captivating, or wrestlers who have been captivating, when The Rock talks, it catches your attention. Even to a lesser extent, when The Miz talks, it catches your attention. When Triple H talks, it catches your attention. You want to see what he's about to say. Guys like that. But Apollo Crews is not, or Apollo, whatever his ring name is this week, he's not one of those guys. So he can talk, it's just that he doesn't grab your attention. Now, in the ring, he completely grabs your attention. I wish they would book him better than he's been booked. But I thought that he got called up too early. He got called up way too soon. He was only in NXT for, I don't know, maybe 3 months, maybe 4, no more than 4. I thought he got called up too early. He should have been down there long. He should have gotten called up, I'd say, after WrestleMania last year, as in WrestleMania 34. That's when he should have gotten called up. You could argue sooner, a little bit sooner, but he got called up way too soon. And I get it, they were getting ready for the brand split, but still, it still didn't help him, because even when the brand split was first reintroduced, they weren't doing anything with him then. And they're not doing anything with him now. So what was the point of calling him up?
For around about 746 years. For whatever reason, WWE wants to treat him like a jobber, and therefore now we see him as a jobber. And yet on Raw, he was booked to beat Baron Corbin. He rolled him up.
Apollo is so impressive, man. For someone his size, he's extremely athletic, has a well-timed jump. I don't even want to guess what his vertical leap is. It has to be high. Not as high as someone like a Ricochet, but it's high for someone his size. Like, he's literally a miniature Bobby Lashley, but quicker, more athleticism. He could talk, and he's younger.
Up out of nowhere, and he smiled as if it was Christmas Day. So are you telling me that someone backstage...
Oh, I forgot to mention, that's the only thing that's charming about him, is that his smile. That's it. Not when he's talking.
In WWE decided to finally give Apollo a win against Baron Corbin a few weeks away from WrestleMania? My brain says no. Way Jose. Because that ruins it no matter how you look at it. Let's say that Baron is going to defeat Angle at WrestleMania. That makes Kurt look like an absolute chump. He couldn't even beat the guy who lost to Apollo Crews. And if Kurt is going to win, so what? He just beat Baron Corbin, the guy who lost to Apollo Crews a few weeks ago on Raw. And I ain't crapping over Apollo Crews here. Like I say, I like him, but that's just the way he's been treated. So that's the vibes he puts out. That is so crazy, I don't think anybody in their right mind would do it. If you are going to put Baron Corbin in a proper big match at WrestleMania, you build him up throughout the weeks. You have him defeat everybody. So you start, as a fan, you start thinking, well, this guy, he is a bit of a threat. I hope Kurt Angle isn't in trouble. I don't want to see Kurt Angle lose his retirement match. You don't think, wasn't it nice seeing Apollo Crews and Kurt Angle do their little dance and wiggle at the top of the stage because they were both so pleased about Apollo beating Baron Corbin? That don't work, man.
Agreed, Simon. And let me add this before he continues. If they're going to stick to Baron Corbin versus Kurt Angle at WrestleMania this year, Baron has got to get out of those Applebee's waiter outfit, uniform, attire, whatever the hell you want to call it, because it's nauseating seeing him wear that every damn week and wrestle in that shit. Seriously. It's annoying.
That ain't logic. Point 2, the revival. Something else that happened on Raw was that Dash and Dawson were seen with Baron Corbin, and Corbin, he was trying to like moxie up with them and be their friends. He even said, "These guys like me," and the tag team champions laughed and said, "No, we don't. We don't like you," to give all of us the impression that nobody likes Baron Corbin. That actually makes sense.
Seriously? That happened? I didn't even know that happened. Once again, I don't watch Raw and SmackDown live on television anymore, in full. When I do watch it, I only watch the clips from YouTube. But that seriously happened? Wow. Holy shit, that is funny as fuck. These guys like me. No, we don't. Wow, I can't believe that happened. Apologies if you can hear my cat running around like a maniac. I apologize in advance. Anyway, wow. I always thought that was his gimmick anyway, the lone wolf. I mean, for fuck's sakes, why would people like him? That doesn't make any sense. But anyway.
It's a bit sad. I always want someone to be liked. So Baron Corbin, I will go on record now and saying, I like you. I think you dress very smart. But it is just more evidence in the tank for LOL. This waistcoat-wearing Poindexter is an absolute jackass. Again, not someone you should be fearing mere weeks away from WrestleMania. Point 3, the commentary. I know the announce team can be very handed with things they are given to say. In fact, sometimes it feels a bit like they've been given a sledgehammer and they continually smash you over the head with it to the point you're like, please do kill me, I don't want to hear it anymore. I do accept this, but from the moment Angle revealed who he would be facing, Michael Cole and co. kept going on about the fact that the fans in the arena don't like it at all. We've been on social media and there's a backlash. And let's face it, if those dudes were going to talk about social media backlashes every time wrestling fans were upset on Twitter, that's all you get on Raw. That's all you get on SmackDown. That's all you get on pay-per-views. I don't like what Ronda Rousey is doing. She's breaking kayfabe. She's only been in the business for a year. She shouldn't be allowed to do this. And so on. And yeah, there's no real proof to it, but it would mean that A, WWE decided to do this anyway, even though they knew how everybody would feed back, and B, they were actively telling people watching Raw, look at our own fans poo-pooing on our own product. Absolutely bonkers. Even when Roman used to get booed, we got quips like, oh, we're in Bizarro land, or the fans, they're so passionate this evening. At no point did they actually call a spade, which was, of course, Roman Reigns is getting booed because nobody right now happens to like Roman Reigns. It's a whole thing. Go on the internet, find out about it. Point 4, John Cena, he still needs something to do. Now, given how WWE operates in 2019, there's every chance.
It seems like they might do Cena versus Joe. No, actually, no. Excuse me. Let me scratch that because this past week on SmackDown, as of right now, it's Joe versus Rey Mysterio for the U.S. title at WrestleMania. Which I believe that'll turn into a multi-man match. Hopefully a ladder match. They should have never made Money in the Bank its own pay-per-view.
As I'm saying these words and presenting this video, they could have thrown something out there, and all of a sudden it turns out that John Cena has been announced for SmackDown, or he's been announced for WrestleMania, or he's going to be a guest host, or he's going to be a special referee, or maybe he's going to be the actual building itself. WrestleMania 35 coming live to you from John Cena. But I can only go with what I know, and what I do know is that John Cena doesn't have a plan for April 7th. And given that the best plan you could possibly come up with is to have John Cena face Kurt Angle in his retirement match when John Cena faced Kurt Angle in his debut match.
They were supposed to be building towards Cena versus Lars Sullivan at WrestleMania. That was the original plans. But then Lars got cold feet, got extremely nervous and scared out of his mind, and left the building on Raw, what was it, about a couple weeks before the Rumble?
You can't just ignore that, and if you do, someone needs to come and slap you around with a fish so you can wake up and smell its guts. When do opportunities like that present themselves so easily? It's not often, and again, if you do choose to ignore that, I think that somebody needs to be fired. I don't mean that. I retract that statement. I never want anyone to be fired. I want everyone to continually earn a wage and enjoy their jobs, but it does smack of lunacy. You absolutely do have to embrace that, mostly because the fans would love it. And I still remember what you told me back in December, WWE. You told me that I was the authority along with the rest of the WWE universe. So,
and y'all fell for that? Oh, man. Wow. Fans are really gullible, aren't they? I didn't fall for that. When Triple H said that, I was just like, sure we are. Thing is that as a wrestling organization, you're not supposed to give the fans too much control. Because if you give them too much control, then they become the bookers. And you're basically letting them do your job for you. It's your job to book and do things the right way, or do things as you see fit. Pretty much do what's best for business, to quote Triple H. But you're not supposed to let the fans run roughshod over your company or your sport organization, whatever type of business you're in. You're not supposed to let the people dictate every single thing. You can let them give their opinions, and you could go based on reactions, things of that nature. But if you see something that they don't see, and they get on your ass for it, don't let them. Fuck them. Honestly. Fuck them. If there's something that you see, that you know that this is not the right thing to do, and the fans start criticizing you and berating you for not doing what's right in their eyes, but you don't see it as that, it is what it is. Do what you gotta do. Not supposed to let the fans dominate every single thing. That's not how it was in the 80s. That's not how it was in the 90s. That's not how it was in the 2000s. Or at least for most of the 2000s, at least the first half. The fans dictate wrestling, but they don't dictate all of it. And they most certainly don't dictate the business aspect of it. So don't let them start now. And this is coming from a fan.
we, as the WWE Universe, are making a match.
Because to me, if you're gonna, before he finishes, I'm not gonna be like Paul Heyman and say, oh, if you don't like it, then don't watch. But I'm gonna say, if you don't like what the WWE is doing, how about you apply for a job with them as a booker? That's how I feel about it. If you are so hell-bent on this person becoming champion and that person becoming champion and this person becoming champion, how about you do something about it instead of sitting on your ass and just bitching and complaining on social media all day and threatening to never watch WWE ever again and threatening to cancel your network subscription? How about you apply for a job as booker, or try to save up some money, get a loan, whatever the case may be, and start your own damn wrestling company. That way you can hire whoever you want to hire and book whoever you want to be champion. How about you do that? Now, I'm not saying that you can't complain at all, and I'm not saying you can't voice your opinion at all, but when it comes to the point where you're a fan that just bitches all day for the sake of bitching, then what are you contributing to the so-called wrestling community? You're contributing nothing. You're adding nothing. It's just bullshit rhetoric with no substance. And you're just coming from an emotional, biased perspective. And that does nothing for you or the so-called wrestling community. That just brings us down even more. That has us take 2 to 5 steps back as opposed to forward. And that's when the outsiders, the quote-unquote outsiders who aren't a part of the so-called community, continue to look down upon us and continue to see us as trash. Just saying, just keeping it real. I'm not going to bullshit you.
Making a match for WrestleMania, it's Kurt Angle versus John Cena and Kurt Angle the time bout. You also negate whatever the result would be. If Angle did manage to sneak out a win, he just beat John Cena. John Cena on the grandest stage of them all. That would blow some people's brains. And it doesn't hurt John Cena He's John Cena. He can do whatever he wants now, and his legacy remains. It's set in stone. If Angle
Agreed.
loses, though, okay, cool. He lost to John Cena, who is often brought up when we discuss the best wrestlers of all time. And you may not agree with that, and you may think that's crazy, but his name is mentioned. Some people out there do think John Cena is the best wrestler they've ever seen. You've just got to
If he's the best wrestler you've ever seen, that's fine. But what have you seen? You understand what I'm saying? What have you seen besides 2002 to now? You got to go back. You got to remember history. And you got to appreciate it. Look, if you think Cena is the greatest of all time, I'm not gonna, come down on you about it. But to me, I have many reasons why he's not. Number one being that the way he sells, the way he always lands on his ass when you give him a move. That to me is not the mark of the greatest wrestler of all time. When you land on your back. When you take a slam, you land on your back. Or you land on your stomach. You don't land on your ass. I'm surprised that all of the times that Cena landed on his ass throughout his career, I'm surprised he never broke a tailbone.
It also gives Cena the chance to get his win back. Not that that really matters. But in 2002, Angle rolled up Cena for the win. And now in 2019, we can balance all that out. Hell, Cena, you could even wear those red shorts again. They were quite fanciful. Picture the scene too. Corbin is backstage. He's all ready for his big WrestleMania match. And then from nowhere, he gets waylaid by the man that nobody can be seen. Hence why he was able to sneak up and do this outrageous attack. Cena then marches to the ring and he does this whole ruthless aggression speech.
You know what's crazy? Like ages ago, that would be considered a heel turn for Cena. Years ago, back in the day, that would be considered him turning heel by doing that. Because that's not a babyface move. That's a dick move. But if he ends up doing that this year, he's going to get a huge pop. I have no doubt about it whatsoever.
And all the fans would get up on that because remember, he did do that around about 20 years ago. And they can just have a fight. Doesn't matter if it's a good fight, doesn't matter if it's a bad fight, because the sheer star power in the match means you get away with it. How many times have we seen that? Go back and watch Rock vs. Hulk Hogan. Incredible match where you turn the fans down and it's decent at best. But because it's the Rock vs. Hulk Hogan, pow! It would work, and I think we know that from Raw. People in Chicago were chanting John Cena's name, and he usually gets booed like he was part of some financial scam that robbed them of their life's inheritance. And I get
the irony behind that. I was shocked. That has to be one of the most shocking moments of 2019 so far. Chicago chanting, "We want Cena." Wow.
that we don't have faith in WWE anymore and think they're always going to screw us over, but I don't think that is one of these occasions. I think they're planting seeds to do one of these swerves that recently they've loved to do. Think of Kofi Kingston, think of Becky Lynch. Swerving is back on the table, probably because WWE Swerve on the network got cancelled. Someone's like, I love Swerve, I want it back. And Vince went, put it on Raw, put it on SmackDown. Also, the story is too obvious and the payoff is too good. And let's not forget, it is the kind of thing that Kurt Angle deserves. If this is going to be the last time we ever see him wrestling in a pro wrestling ring, you've got to go all out and you've got to make sure it's worthy of someone that in many ways changed the industry. He was part of this star revolution and he picked it up so damn quick. Come on. Just come on, you've got to do something good. And yeah, I know I'm setting myself up for a fall, but I'm confident. When I'm confident, I put my hood up, because it is National Hood Week, and I march with power. And I also want to make it clear, this ain't nothing against Baron Corbin. I think Baron Corbin's cool, as I said earlier. I am going on the I like Baron Corbin train. I just kind of think his character has been dragged through the mud a little bit. Also, he ain't John Cena, because nobody is John Cena. That takes 15 years of work, hustle, loyalty, dedication, whatever else he says. So make it happen, WWE, make it happen, and take WrestleMania 35, which is going to go on for 791 years, in the middle of it, slap bang in the middle, give me John Cena versus Kurt Angle, so I can salute an Olympic hero and feel good about my life until the next time you do something I don't enjoy. Then, of course, I will be back on Twitter running you down. But now, as I know, Michael Cole will talk about it, and I can feel a little bit like I'm famous. 35, WrestleMania, Cena, Angle. Thank you. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you think about all of this.
So, Simon made a lot of good, strong points. I wouldn't mind seeing Cena versus Angle. It's not something I'm clamoring for, but I wouldn't mind seeing it. I think that it would be better if he went against somebody younger, much, much younger, that he could put over on his way out and make a star out of them. But about WrestleMania going on for 5 days straight, when it happens, I haven't complained about it. I'm not gonna complain about it because it is what it is. This is something that I wrote on Twitter. If you didn't see my tweet, if you want to watch WrestleMania and are going to watch WrestleMania, it's best to treat it like a Ring of Honor pay-per-view. Treat it like most Ring of Honor pay-per-views. You know how when Ring of Honor does certain pay-per-views, I don't think they do it as frequently as they used to, especially for the big ones. But the big pay-per-views years ago, like in the early 2010s to the mid 2010s, they would do night 1 and night 2, where they would air half of the pay-per-view on night 1, and then air the second half of the pay-per-view the next night. Sometimes they would tape all of this shit in advance anyway, but nobody would be able to see it. So what I'm gonna do, if WrestleMania is 10 million hours long, as advertised, I'm gonna watch half of it Sunday Night Live, and then I'm gonna shut my network off. I'm going to wait till Monday morning or afternoon whenever I get up. And before Raw comes on, I'm going to watch the second half of WrestleMania. Now, the key to this, before you get at me, the key to this is staying off of social media for that time period between Sunday night and Monday night. You'd have to not be on social media at all. And you have to not be given any spoilers to the second half of the pay-per-view before you watch it. So I highly suggest doing that. Treat it like a Ring of Honor pay-per-view, especially for you Ring of Honor fans. If you're a Ring of Honor fan, you can handle this. This is nothing to you. This should be nothing to you. Sunday night, watch the first half. Then the second half, you watch it Monday morning or Monday afternoon. And just try not to be on social media. That way you won't get spoiled. That's simple. Anyway, I'm out.